Trick question. What do we hate in real life but love in movies? If you're thinking when a good guy dies or when a bad guy is trying to destroy the universe, you are correct. However, even more than that, the power of flexes. Flexes in real life, total asshole. Flexes in fiction, god damn it, I'd suck his dick. And so that brings me here today to discuss the biggest flexes in Marvel. I love talking flexes. They're some of the greatest moments ever, despite the fact that IRL I want to slowly emancipate myself. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the biggest flexes in Marvel. We're gonna go high here because I asked you guys on Twitter to send me some Marvel flexes. I had a ton in mind, and you guys just made that list infinitely bigger. Link to my Twitter in the description. Feel free to follow me there. But 50,000 likes on this video, and biggest flexes in Marvel Part 2 will be out within a week because the never-ending stash of Marvel flexes from the MCU to the comics is, well, I kind of answered that one. It's goddamn never-ending. First flex! Believe it or not, the Marvel scene that got me into the idea of making this video is the fact that Thanos saying, "I am inevitable," became a meme.
I am inevitable.
First of all, dumbass line, if I do say so myself. Also, it's a mad flex. How can an individual be inevitable? It's a big flex, and I remember thinking that while I was watching the movie for the first time like a week ago. Yes, I know, I'm behind the time. And I was like, but hell is it a flex? So, I would like to begin this video with the infinite amount of Thanos flexes because this goddamn mad lad does not freaking stop. I mean, even his very lines are made to be flexes. On the one hand, the MCU is trying to make him out to be a selfless, sad figure who, oh, so sad he had to wipe out half of existence. I feel so terrible for his ass. And then every time he speaks, he gets injured, and then he like snarls and goes, "All that for a drop of blood?" A literal sucker punch to the gonads, that one was. Or the fact that in the final massive battle, everyone's making such a big deal that Captain America can use Thor's hammer, and they're like, "Oh my god, he's worthy!" And everyone in the audience collectively starts jacking off at the pure amazingness of making Captain America an actual viable fighter as opposed to a dick with the shield. And then 2 minutes later, Thanos goddamn picks up the hammer and starts bashing Thor with it. In fact, in all of the Thanos versus Thor little scuffles in that battle, he was either whacking him with his hammer or he was whacking him with his axe. Wow, very cool, Captain America. You're a chosen warrior. You and, you know, the guy that wiped out half of existence in the universe. Good on you, fam. This was just a huge flex all around. Because in Age of Ultron and all that shiz, they were trading the hammer and stuff and no one else could lift it. Finally, someone else is worthy to lift the hammer, and then a minute later Thanos does as well, completely undercutting it, flexing on the entire Avengers team, saying, "Sorry fam, defenders of the universe and whatever, I am more worthy." Now, before I made this video, I asked you guys to help me out with Marvel flexes, and well, I was already aware of Dr. Doom vaporizing Thanos by touching his face. Very cool, Dr. Doom. You would make a wonderful master villain for the next MCU series. That would be goddamn amazing. But I wouldn't exactly consider it a flex. It was just kind of, you know, beating the guy. What is a flex, though, on the other hand, that I was not aware of, is Cosmic Ghost Rider pissing on Thanos' corpse. Now, that is a flex. And when I saw that, I was like, no, there's no way they did that. And on one of those Comic Story and Comics Explained thingo channels, they made like a whole video on it, and it's incredibly badass, so I will be linking it in the description. Props to you, whoever made it. I don't know anything about the comic community, so I don't know if I just started a civil war or anything, but great video. Ghost Rider pissing on Thanos' corpse is a massive flex. Leave me your favorite flexes in the comments so that if I make biggest flexes in Marvel 2, I can include what you guys have added. But in any case, the ultimate Thanos flex that I wanted to talk about most in regards to Thanos, it's not him lifting the hammer. No. It's not even him calling himself inevitable, or the fact that he walks around with testicles instead of a chin, which is a flex on male anatomy. Thanos' biggest flex ever is how in the comics, his entire master plan to wipe out half of life and all that jazz, no, it was for no noble cause. And yes, I'm pretty sure all of you know this already. It was to bone death. Now, you're probably wondering, what does one thing have to do with the other? Killing out half of life in the universe, boning death. And the simple answer to that is, it is a big flex. You don't understand. In the MCU, he has a lot of flexing lines. All that for a drop of blood? I am inevitable. That's nothing compared to Thanos at his purest form, where his ultimate goal of everything he was doing was to flex so hard on death. She'd be like, instead instead of Mr. Thanos, she'd call him Daddy Thanos. That was his ultimate end goal. So yes, Thanos is a massive flexer. Comic canon Thanos did everything to flex. It makes the flex of him taking off his armor to fight Hulk look like nothing in its way. But you know it's an even bigger monster flex that dwarfs Thanos's by comparison? Well, let's talk about my boy, my favorite Marvel superhero, if you can call him a superhero, Deadpool. Now, if you don't know my channel, you probably do not know why Deadpool is my favorite. But if you know my channel, I think he would have been easily the first guest for reasons that don't need to be mentioned. So, my beautiful segue from Thanos to Deadpool will go so smoothly, I don't even need to say, next flex. That's how amazing it is. Thanos did all of these things he did. Wiped out half of life, gathered Infinity Stones and everything, just to flex on Death so that he could bone her. Deadpool bones Death because she's into him. Now, if that's not a massive flex, like fourth wall level flex on Deadpool's behalf, I don't really know what is. It's not his looks, because Deadpool's entire head looks like Thanos' testicle chin. Very cool, Deadpool. Extremely cool. Now, speaking of Deadpool, this mad lad has my all-time favorite flexes in Marvel, which makes his assholery all the more pleasant. And if you have any more Deadpool flexes, you know, from games or comics or whatever, I'd love to hear in the comments. That would be extremely awesome. But from the Deadpool movies alone, the fact that he has X amount of bullets and he goes around shooting people, and then after one guy annoyed him, he's counting down his bullets and knows he has exactly the right amount. He's so pissed off at the guy he killed, he shoots his corpse 3 times before moving on and proceeding to need to kill 3 guys in one shot. It's hilarious. I love how he talks to himself and calls himself stupid afterward, but then says worth it to solidify the flex and make it somewhat inspirational. This man also is pissed off at the villain named Francis, which he thinks is a girly name, and he's right. I'm sorry, Francises that are watching this video. It's not exactly the manliest of names. So what does he do when waiting for Francis, who by the way hates his name because he agrees with Deadpool on this one point? He uses the corpses of Francis's men to spell out the name Francis, so that when Francis looks from a bird's eye view, he sees Deadpool sitting there with all of his soldiers spelling out his name, which he despises. This is a massive flex. Not only does he take out the soldiers, not only does he piss him off using his name, but he's so nonchalant about this entire fight. He takes the time to spell out this name that he hates with the soldiers that don't pose a threat to him. This is a huge flex, and it's glorious. Literally half of what Deadpool is him flexing on the X-Men for the entirety of the series. Him breaking the fourth wall is flexing on every other superhero that can. Him forgetting his guns, forgetting being in quotation marks, every single time he enters a battle so he has no choice but to use swords in the goriest way he can, is low-key flexing too. He's like, oh damn, forgot all my guns. Oh well, guess I'm gonna have to do it this way. Doesn't even phase him, and he proceeds to kick butt. Even his ungratefulness throughout is kind of flexing too. At the end of Deadpool 2, he's like dying and whatever, and he's going to heaven, and they find a way to save him, and he gets pissed off at them saving him. He's like, come on, I was gonna go to heaven or whatever. Dick move, man. I personally find that so damn funny. And also flexing on how his death would have been better than him being saved by these guys. Deadpool is the king of flexes. He's also an a-hole, which makes me immediately love him. He also gets shot down the a-hole, and he just jokes about it instead of actually getting pissed off. But that all said and done, I have read some Deadpool comics, including this one little known comic where Deadpool, you know, kills the entire Marvel universe. The psycho just goes around killing every single hero. You don't understand how dynamic this was. It explains the tactics he uses to kill every hero. You know, Captain Marvel can like blow up these massive space fleets or whatever. Nothing before the dickery of Deadpool. And while Deadpool's doing it, he wears Beast's skin like a coat while he's going around killing the X-Men. This entire comic is completely fantastic. And you know the even better part? The fact that there's a sequel where he kills them all again. How is this not just a master flex? Yes, there's this timey-wimey dimensional shiz that happens later, but that does not detract from the core epic flex of the entire story arc. And before I talk about the final massive flex that solidified Deadpool as the greatest flexer of all time, even his support cast is low-key flexing on the rest of superhero movies, because his one friend in the bar that has an IQ of like 12, you know who I'm talking about, his lines were dope, straight fire, and they were not scripted. Yes, so much of the Deadpool support cast was not scripted just because they bounce well off Ryan Reynolds.
You look like an avocado. had sex with an older, more disgusting avocado.
Now that is a massive flex of the highest magnitude, but it's nothing on what I'm about to say. Anime fans, I hope you're happy, because in this one Deadpool anime, Deadpool was voiced by Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Dio's voice actor has become such a prolific meme. Every single time I hear his voice in anything, for some odd reason I need a change of pants. The fact that they gave this madman's voice actor to, well, another madman is more than perfect for me, especially because Dio's famous muda 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 when he attacks, screaming useless again and again and again. They do the same shtick for Deadpool. When Deadpool pulls two guns out and he starts shooting, he goes bang 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 bang, and I am telling you, it is gasm worthy. And I know, if you're not a JoJo fan, the only remedy to the situation is really to watch JoJo's to at least get the memes and also have a damn good time. But this, for me personally, is more than I could have ever dreamt to see in Deadpool, my favorite hero-ish fellow in Marvel. Next flex that also happens to have a dope segue, and that would be none other than the penance stare. This is an ethereal stare done by the Ghost Rider as well as the Spirits of Vengeance. Heard of Ghost Rider? Never heard of the Spirits of Vengeance. I'm sorry. I just researched this shiz before, writing the script. But the idea is, when Ghost Rider locks eyes with his opponent, it imposes within them every negative action, behavior, or sensation from their sins or pains that they inflicted on others. And if it deems them guilty, it, totally eradicates their souls, which sucks balls for the souls. However, if unfortunately they are completely innocent or whatever, it can backfire upon Ghost Rider himself. Now, I mentioned the penance stare here because there are 3 flexes in regards to the penance stare in Marvel lore that I am particularly interested in because they're epic flexes. The first, Ghost Rider gave a penance stare to the Punisher, and it didn't work because the Punisher said he believes that he doesn't have any regrets or pity towards those he killed, and since he actually legitimately felt good about it in his heart and felt righteous, it didn't work. Now that's a big flex. A bigger flex, our boy Thanos that I've mentioned earlier actually derived pleasure from the penance stare because of his pride in what he was doing, and went as far as to ask Ghost Rider to please give it to him every day. But Deadpool takes the cake, because when he gets the penance stare and he re-experiences all the evil shiz he's done, he views it as a montage of all the epic stuff that happened to him, and he appreciated it because it made him love himself even more. He's too insane to see anything he's done as wrong, and it backfires so hard on Ghost Rider, it turns him back into Johnny Blaze. On the one hand, I think it's a really cool power on Ghost Rider's part, but every time it doesn't work, I just see it as such a big flex on the other side, I had to mention it. Next flex. Can I just say that the MCU did a phenomenal job with Iron Man? They made him exactly the asshole I wanted to see in the Man Under the Iron Suit. It's actually my favorite adaptation of Iron Man ever, which I personally find pretty hilarious, because while Marvel Cinematic Universe does a good job, it rarely knocks the character out of the park for me like it did with Iron Man. Either that or I'm just addicted to dicks. Not in that. Oh God, don't. Oh. There's no escaping this comment section. I already know it. In any case, Iron Man has dope flexes. Like, for example, in Iron Man 3, where Tony gives the media and everyone his address just to flex on them and say, yeah, I'm extremely freaking rich and I'm a mad lad. In the original Avengers, when they ask Tony, hey, when did you become an expert in thermonuclear astrophysics? Tony says, last night. Goddamn, dropping bombs everywhere. And after Dr. Banner mumbles his science jumbo, and as we know, he's like a super cool, important scientist guy, Tony just looks relieved and is like, finally, someone speaks English. The mad lad continues to flex because even though he has all these phenomenal super suits and whatever, and clearly has a grasp of science, he always freaking says, if my math is right, then X will happen. God damn it, man, your math is always right. And we know you're Iron Man. You don't need to keep reminding us you're Iron Man. You say you're Iron Man in the first movie, you say you're Iron Man in the last movies, just stop telling us. We see it. Just like we see Hulk, and he said, we have a Hulk. This man's lines are actually phenomenal. They're so straightforward and honest, but they just get the message across in such a sharp way, I can't stop watching it. Captain America says to him, what are you under that suit? And then Iron Man, without a moment's hesitation, says, oh, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. This straight straight face he says everything in is just so damn good. And it's even more than that, because this guy literally is everything. He doesn't flex as in going out of his way to make himself look awesomer than he actually is. He legit is that awesome, and he just drops the truth bombs everywhere. He is a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, and he just drops those facts, leaving craters in their midst. It's this unapologetic flex style that makes me love this character and makes me love the development he actually had through the entire MCU. He's my favorite character they've actually produced, which is funny because as a kid I've never really been an Iron Man guy. As far as Marvel goes, I was always a Spider-Man guy, and I will mention Spider-Man in just a moment, but as you know, I like leaving the biggest flex for last. Iron Man's biggest flex ever is the fact that overnight he casually built a time machine. I don't care what kind of ass-pull universe you're living in. You don't just casually whip that garbage up and then you're like, I don't know if I should tell people about it. It was super duper easy, even though no one else was able to figure it out in the entire world, though. You don't understand. Doctor Strange predicted 14 million future. Oh my god, there's so many amazing Doctor Strange flexes, but I don't know if I have time in this video. Maybe I'll do a part 2 if this gets enough likes. Smash like! When Doctor Strange says there's 14 million some odd futures and they only win one, and he knew he had to die to save Tony, it was because Tony's the only guy that can build a time machine, and then Tony's the only guy who can end up in the right place to snappy wappy at the end of the final battle. He knows that that was the only outcome, which makes no sense to me, because if Thor would have gone for the head before, which was definitely one plausible outcome within the infinite universes before them, that would have been a victory. But hey, I'm not doubting Doctor Strange. All the praise that I say about how Iron Man is my favorite adaptation that Marvel popped out, Doctor Strange is my favorite character. Point is, this guy casually could do what no one else can. He also managed to come up with a way to avoid time paradoxes, which doesn't really make sense, because by going into the past, it's actually your future, so you can't change anything that's going on by you. It's not like all the other movies. Those movies don't know what they're talking about. But I think making time machines overnight is like the biggest flex ever. Even in Rick and Morty, where they do the most wacky sci-fi things ever, they haven't touched time travel. They have a council of infinite beings of the main character among infinite dimensions, but hell no! Time travel is off limits, at least so far, but Iron Man goes ahead and whips it up in a day. They also don't seem to think about the fact that instead of needing to teleport to like a bazillion different places, they could have just put Thor in front of him and tell him go for the head this time. He would have gone for the head, he would have gotten the glove, and then they could have just snapped one time. They didn't need to travel everywhere. Not the point. It was a very entertaining movie. Point is, time travel is something that fiction generally does not touch because it opens up all sorts of time paradoxes, like I've just mentioned, the fact that there are certain issues with it, but none of that matters because he made a freaking time machine overnight, ladies. And casually at that, the lad didn't even make a big deal about it. He was just like, oh yeah, I finished the time machine, guys. God damn. Next flex. That one time where Sony flexed on Marvel so hard, I promised it was going to be a Spider-Man related flex, that they pulled Spider-Man out of the MCU, flexing really hard on poor Uncle Ben that they're going to have to dream up another way for him to die and say that with great power comes great responsibility, because that's not something we heard in a while. I think the saddest character in this whole story is poor Uncle Ben. This guy's been carnated into so many goddamn universes to just die, and it's been done so much, I don't think anyone cares about him anymore. This is so sad. Can we please get an F in the chat for poor Uncle Ben, who just cannot seem to stop dying? Very sad. Big flex there, Sony, but very epic. Big sad. Next flex, also Spider-Man related, but not the actual character. It's the fact that the Into the Spider-Verse movie was the best Marvel superhero movie of all time, aside from potentially Deadpool. But again, we've already established that he doesn't exactly fit the criteria of superhero to a T. You want to call him an anti-hero? Go for it, fam. But as far as superheroes, nothing came even close to Into the Spider-Verse. Really flexing hard, making the best movie, and also making the least amount of money in the box office of any superhero movie they've ever made. This is so sad. Can we get an F in the chat for more respect for Into the Spider-Verse, Sam? Can we get 5 likes, please? And someone play Despacito. Now, I'm at about the 18.5-minute range, and my script keeps going on, but I talk about Spider-Man's different flexes as well as Hulk's different flexes in length from both the movies and the comics, and I don't really want this video to be that much longer than 20 minutes because I feel like that just ends up drawn out. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, I will absolutissimally make a part 2. I definitely have what to say, but I always like ending off with a more happy style flex, more based on a meta aspect and comedic style, and that is the fact that the internet flexed on Thanos so damn hard before thinking, oh man, this epic, terrifying warlord guy with an actual really cool personality that was a really dope villain in the MCU. People think memes when they see the guy. I don't know. Maybe it was that image image burned into my retinas of Thanos dancing the Fortnite dance that did it. But now every time I see something purple, I immediately yell it has something to do with Thanos. So was the famous Thanos car that happened a while ago. Every time I see a shiny Wailord now, I'm like, it's a Thanos fish! A Thanos fish! Every time the word balance shows up, I immediately find myself thinking, balanced as all things should be. Whenever someone praises anywhere, be it a restaurant or a town that they used to live in, I'm always thinking of Thanos saying, wow, this place was beautiful. And then the background somehow cutting to end up being a Minecraft meme. Every time I hear someone say Thanos with Infinity Gauntlet, I'm immediately brought back to the time where everyone was clowning on the infinite YouTube videos made and internet articles everywhere saying 6 characters that could have defeated Thanos with Infinity Gauntlet, and then just filling the goddamn thing with memes. They were all, you know, Ultra Instinct Shaggy and Lord D Twigo, who are, by the way, some of the other greatest flexers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe somehow. But I feel like the internet flexed on Thanos so damn hard, it was so deserving of a mention, and I didn't want to do it in the beginning because it was a bit scary and turn-offy, but I like this meta stuff, and I hope you do as well. Please slap like on the video. That would be extremely awesome, and also subscribe for future epic content talking about flexes, since I love talking about flexes. This was inspired by my biggest flexes in anime series, which I am loving right now. Link to that in the description, as well as at the end. Feel free to check it out. Also, let me know biggest flexes in Marvel in the comments. That would be extremely dope. I have links in the description to my Twitter, to my Twitch, to my merch, and to my Patreon, which allows exclusive access to the Discord server below, so feel free to check any of that out if you're interested. It is a great help to me, and I very much appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening, and remember to stay weird, fam.